bring this whole thing to the team and to the region would mean, you know, just the world, really. A lot of people don't really understand Latin America, don't really like trust in Latin America and view Latin America as a strong region, as a region that can even be a contender to win these type of tournaments. And we want to, you know, turn those opinions and make people believe.
Hola, buenas a todos. Mi nombre es Daniel Gutiérrez, más conocido como Mited.
Mited is our captain, our AGL. A lot of people may know him in the NA ranked queues. He's a very funny guy, but in game he's very calm, he's very, you know, dedicated and serious.
Y el resto de fusiones, Virti, el duelista, tienen que cuidar mucho de su firepower y de su agresividad y aporta al equipo muchas first skills, mucho espacio, mucha información.
I think I bring a lot of good facets to the team, being that I competed in Tier 2 of NA. I bring a little bit of experience, but not much. You know, structure, teaching my teammates how to play certain situations. I also help the team, bring up the team a lot. You know, I know that as a player in the team, no matter what role you play, good morale and good vibes is very important.
Darker, el flex del equipo, se tiene que cuidar mucho de su firepower, de su agresividad, de su pegue.
He's a kid prodigy. He's our flex controller main. He's very fiery, very good aim, excellent mechanics, and he makes very good decisions.
Primero.
Dale.
Sí, está pegando. ¿Cómo?
Teori Centinela es como el termómetro del equipo, el que nos mantiene calmados o enfocados.
He's a very poised player, a very calm control. He's kind of the person who brings up the team when the team is down. He's also a very smart player, always makes the correct decisions, and a player like that is needed on any team.
Edu, el iniciador del equipo, nos ayuda mucho con su proactividad, propone mucho.
Edu's the young gun on the team, the rookie, came from the academy team of Fusion. He was our defensive IGL, defensive side IGL. Very good kid, amazing decisions, and an overall great player.
Corta, cuidado. Corta. Buena. Sigue. ¿A dónde coge? ¿Garaje?
Yeah, I got contracted by Oxygen Esports, I think in 2021. I spent 9 months there, and after my stint there, obviously didn't find myself with any offers in North America. So I made the move to Latin America, and I know a lot of people may say that I can't compete in NA, which may be true, but you'll see at this tournament that I've come far.
Pienso que nos hace ganar, como te dije antes, el tiempo que trabajamos día a día. Somos un equipo que trabaja mucho, entonces eso nos ayuda a ganar también.
I think other teams have to watch out for our distinct play style, our fiery attitude, and overall just what we bring to the table.
You gonna be yelling at people this and that?
Oh yeah.
¿Cómo se? Limpiamos árbol. Dos. Encima la caja. Monto, espera.
I think what makes our team special or unique is definitely our camaraderie, the way we mesh together, the way we just communicate with each other and vibe with each other. I think we've been practicing very, very hard, and we know that we're underdogs, so we have that chip on our shoulder, and I think that's definitely an advantage for us. I think the biggest strength of our team is definitely our distinct play style. The comps that we play is very fiery, very W gaming, PRX-esque.
Somos un equipo muy completo, que si quieren jugar a pegarnos tiros, nos vamos a pegar sin miedo. Si quieren jugar a lo táctico, vamos a jugar a lo táctico. Como quiera que jueguen, como quieran ellos que juguemos, nosotros vamos a jugar, no tenemos miedo de nada. No tenemos nada que perder y vamos a darlo todo.
What gives our team confidence is just the work we've been putting in. We had a boot camp recently in Spain, playing against European teams. Over there, we definitely learned a lot of our liabilities and our the bad parts of our team, and we worked on those things. And we're coming in with a lot of work. I honestly think that we have an advantage because a lot of teams aren't afraid of us, but I definitely think they should be. They definitely should be.
Welcome back as we get ready to jump into our second map here for VCT Ascension Americas in our first series of day 2. It's the first group stage match for Fusion, and while they don't come out with a win in map number 1, they've still got additional opportunities here as we look towards map number 2, and at the very least, they look really good while they play. Those jerseys are pretty awesome. I'm loving the gold. That is a pretty slick-looking jersey. But looking at map 2 in this series, there's obviously opportunity here, Vans. There's a chance for this team to return fire and take it to map 3.
I do agree on top of that as well, because Fusion, yes, they have lost Fracture and it was their map pick. Now we play on Lotus. That is going to be M80's map pick, but that still, we've mentioned it in the pregame, has been a strong suit for the first split of the LATAM North Challengers for this team of Fusion. They weren't undefeated, but they still had some agent compositions from split 1 to split 2 and still look good.
As we look at these teams getting ready too, we look at the maps. Lotus, like you talked about it, this is a decent map for both teams. I'd say it actually ends up being pretty even comparatively, the way that the teams are playing the maps. I'd say the round win rates are interesting. I also think that they kind of come in with an interesting composition on the M80 side, and I wonder if they're still going to do that as they take Kuala Noob away from the Jet, and he ends up playing Omen. They put Nismo on the duelist lead. He ends up playing Raze. It allows them to kind of change the way they play the game, which makes them maybe a little less readable, but it's not that they have never done it. So obviously there is something to go by. And again, because of the fact that maybe Fusion has played this map a little bit less frequently and a little bit less more recently, it makes them, again, that big question mark. We don't know what we're going to get.
Yeah, Lotus is definitely a strong map for M80, but I mean, it's not a bad map for Fusion at the end of the day, even though we haven't seen them play it in a while. And like we heard in the pregame, in the interviews, they said that they know how M80 plays and their game plan. So I do too, and usually M80 likes to do these aggressive pushes on C and A. Like I'm expecting that we're going to be seeing Koala doing the one-way smoke at the end of C, and then they're going to be triple pushing. They're going to try to control these extremities, and that's common, right? Because there's 3 different spike areas where you can plant. So controlling one side of the map is definitely one of their strongest suits. I'm expecting that they're going to be doing that today. So Fusion, if they want a chance of winning, they're going to have to play counter to that, bait out the util, make sure they can't flood them, and just expect these aggressive pushes.
And this is the pick here to change from Fusion. So with this composition with a double controller, I'm expecting a little bit more of defaulting, which then could eventually punish back, work those rotates from the aggression from M80, get them to rotate back, and get that lurk activated from Theory.
Well, we'll see what they decide to do. It is map number 2 time, as it's Fusion who's down 0-1 and looking to prove themselves here in a LAN environment against one of North America's finest. We'll throw things over to the casters and see if they can bring things back and force a map number 3. Sully, up mine, take it away.
Mark, thank you so much. And this is something the desk was alluding to a little bit earlier. They actually had they had been talking about the no scan, and they actually have no scan this time around. They've swapped out the breach for the sky, and it's a little bit worrying. And I'm gonna, again, kind of what the desk was saying, be watching very carefully for if we are gonna see those early defaults come out from Fusion, especially on this attacking side. They'll play a little bit slower, typically on both their attacking and defense, without that scan agent, especially with the Viper as well. They love to lean into this like passive control.
I was going to say, in a situation like this, the off angles become a lot more prominent for M80. On the defensive side, we could see a lot cheekier play from M80 just because Fusion doesn't have that scan. They do make their way in already early on in this game, quickly into B. It's full 5v5 already to kick things off. 2 players over towards Link. It's Verdi trying to fight. Koala Noob has 2 players right in front of him, but 1 player right behind him. He did not know about Theory at all, but that Molly's actually beautiful. That Molly, that might actually defuse already. There's 4 players alive for Fusion, and they're sticking the defuse. They've got it!
Overextending just a little bit towards A main, or apologies, the A link. And I think Fusion, you know, in this composition in particular, you're going to see Verdi being a lot more aggressive because they will need someone to get aggressive. And all of them leaning in towards A door, where it's a lot easier for M80 to make that hold. And especially in a round like this, yes, the snake bites will help discourage the defuse, but it's not enough to take a player down. It's not going to be enough. And so M80 just sticking the defuse through it will find the first round. And Fusion still unsuccessful in their offensive pistol rounds.
Again, this is after the fact that this team has been almost lockout on pistol rounds throughout the Latin American region. M80, they pull a bit of a different look coming into this map. It is Nismo instead on the Duelist.
But this pack mentality is what was so dangerous in the last map and what helped them win 3 thrifty rounds. They could do it again here with 2 players kind of on an island. There's not a lot of support that can be offered from the rest of these players.
Koala noob. What does he actually have to use here? He has the paranoia ready if they were to pop, but they're not doing so. Fusion opting to inch their way back over towards mid.
And this is the one map we'll see Koala noob play Omen. Like, he doesn't play, he only plays Jet and Sage exclusively. And Sage was, I believe,
that was a while ago.
Icebox. Yeah, that was bricks ago. So this is the only time we'll ever see this guy play Omen. And it's going to be an interesting one. The last time they played this map was against the Guard in the Grand Finals, and they did win that 13-1. So I think a lot of people are probably thinking like a Jet going straight to an Omen will certainly hurt his stats. Well, he did go 17-5 against the Guard, so I don't think it inhibits his stats too much. Nismo, as well as in the past, been a very dominant Raze. For the last push here, 20 seconds, Fusion will attempt VA site, where Xander's been very quick to lay down a snakebite to buy time.
And indeed, he does so again. No more util to use, but that snakebite alone allows for his teammates to come on in. Not only that, but an aftershock to try to help out. This is a great combination, but look at Fusion! They end up getting a couple of kills. Here comes John QT, still on site. Has some time to potentially...
There's just no way!
Delay the spike play, but what is going on? Koala noob, one more shot to go! But it is me, Ted, to pull it off for Fusion.
4 rounds have been thrifties in this series, and Fusion do it on the 2nd. This looked so good from M80. Xander dropping 2 snake bites, buying a lot of time. EU comes to assist so he can focus A main, and Xander would focus towards tree. But Fusion just overwhelming with numbers, and that last engagement that Fury ends up winning with his ghost wins out that round and gives Meathead an extra second to get that spike down, a fraction more. And M80 just instantly getting reset here as Fusion flip the script, get meated already onto his lockdown.
Meathead, the oldest player on his team. Want to guess the age?
Over under 30.
21 years old.
Bro, you just said oldest. Am I getting cooked here?
No, I am not kidding.
Crazy young.
I am not kidding. This entire team is that young. Meathead, and fragging like he has that sort of funky upstart potential. Again, it's been him alongside Darker, alongside Verdi.
You're talking about it like he's got this crazy storied age.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these guys, they have some sort of experience, but not a lot of time under their belts. Koala noob, John QT have actually walked into a scenario. Oh, a possible scenario. My goodness, Theory. A 1v2 for Fusion. And what was looking like a golden road for their first lead in this series.
We really might just flip it back in too. M80 putting bodies on this A main area. And again, Fusion relying on Verdi to be that kind of drone going in, being that first contact. But he gets split apart from the rest of his team. And M80 getting another thrifty round. That's 2 in a row, by the way. And once again, the script will be flipped. Fusion having some ultimates coming online regardless, though, with their kind of half buy here. I mean, it is going to be a full buy, thankfully, because of the light armor. But M80 as well, getting very close to some of their ultimates. We saw the major ult clash that happened on Fracture. It'll again have to be something to keep an eye out for. Both of these teams playing off of one another. M80 adjusting their setups. And I imagine Happy was flipping through that 7-page manual of Fusion Pearl, or apologies, Fusion Lotus.
Furiously. But now over towards the mid side where it's Fusion. Already up against the nano swarms. There's a big pick coming out from EU. Does anyone still stick around A? Because it's Theory actually looking for yet another lurk. They're actually going to find it. It's going to be a 1v1 potentially. The 2 Vipers might have just found each other. And Koala noob actually finds this spike in the gap. EU gets another kill. This one should be a bit of a wash here for the rest of M80. A clean round to bounce back here for M80. 2 big rounds to really put their stamp of approval on the map already.
See that one kill that they got into Meathead? Kind of forcing Fusion's hand over towards B is I think there was an ult play that Meathead wanted to go for. You can drop it towards Baby Door, and it really does take a lot of space away on that B side, but Fusion losing that one player, forced to show their hand, and M80 completely ready for it. They haven't gone as aggressive as I imagine they would have, especially on this A side where they're using this Viper roll to get that early control. They're playing a lot further back here, and in this anti-eco round, you have to be careful here, M80. You've already been ecoed 4 times.
Yep. And everyone from Fusion, they can combine these pistols. They're getting closer, dangerously closer to this A site. Not a lot of rotations going on here for M82. Fusion, it's going to be 2 players in the back to hold it all down. Xander has a bit of a party. Triple for himself, but here comes Meathead! Meathead picking up 2. He may have just solo picked his way up into A, but no, they have to back out.
And he's got a lockdown here as well with Fury on the Viper's pit. They have to be wary of this kind of flank. There isn't a lot of util that Meathead throws for flanks. We saw it on Fracture, a lot of gaps that M80 were trying to exploit, and they've tried to do it here again. Look at Quantum's face of concentration.
This is such an unusual angle, and no info to get it. They just had to swing.
He just took his hand off the mouse to scratch his nose, and I literally thought that was when they were going to swing.
Perfect timing from Theory. He looked across the stage and realized that it was his perfect moment.
But now the space is given here to Theory to set up the plant and the Viper's pit. They'll get the info here very early, though. M80 by a couple of extra seconds. He breaks his door.
No way! He's breaking in right into B. It's a red carpet with the Viper's pit. He can get this plant down, but 2 players here. They can easily bounce on in. What a fake! Theory! Now running for the hills. He is now broken apart from the 2 players of M80. And he's about to get a safe plant in C. Great from Theory.
And he's got a chance to position himself. Not really, actually.
Here we go! Wow.
Very, very quick from M80, and very aware to play together in this instance as well. We're seeing early on M80 exploit some pretty big gaps in this Fusion default. Like, again, Kwanu, but in a lot of opportunities to make lurks happen on this defensive side, pushing all the way through C Mound. There hasn't been a focus at all from Fusion towards C, and M80 are recognizing that and putting pressure. A lot of pressure there.
There's so many corners in that site, though. Without a scan, it's so difficult for you to realistically be able to swing into that site. All 5 need to be there for Fusion to make that possible.
Big ults online here between these 2 teams. Fusion having 2 major ones, and a 3rd one nearly online from Birdie with his showstopper. He's looking to grab that orb here, or at least get control towards B main.
Fusion do finally have to put in a bit of a contact over towards C.
There's a little bit more aggression towards A this time. Finally, M80 putting decent pressure, getting that control. That triggers the ult to get popped here from Xander.
Oh, and the Prowler actually spots a player mid. Theory alongside Verdi do open up the switch, but again, M80 have so much control. They've gotten deep into A. They still have full B at the moment. Viper's pit in the middle of C.
Now you've gotten Verdi onto his ultimate. For now, Fusion will know that there isn't a push towards Mound, but the alarm just got broken, so they will have to act quick because that flank could come in at any second. And so they're going to edge towards the A site where there was aggression early on. You can clear this pretty easily.
Going for a stun.
And all the utils going the wrong way. They're all looking towards Ruin. Instead, this is an off angle from Nismo playing with the one-way.
But he has to back down off the one-way because it evaporates. It dissipates. Nismo. Good dodge. It's going to be the A site wide open.
And these players in the smoke are
No, they're not.
To capitalize, pushing him in towards Baby Door, but they don't spring at the right moment. They will get control, though, knowing these players have gone towards heaven.
The nanoswarms hold back the players, and Meathead is forced to actually utilize his lockdown deep into mid. He was actually going to pull it off in the middle of B instead. Here comes Fusion, though. They're going to take their time. M80 needing to back out of the lockdown. Nobody here. Rolling Thunder, though, coming into B Link to try to shock some of these players, and the lockdown instead coming in from M80.
And they've pushed this area knowing the ult would kind of steer them in this direction regardless. That's where the spike is planted now.
What does Fusion have? What are they holding this back with?
They've got an aftershock here to try and bait out here, and M80 are looking to do it. They've gotten out.
And they have a player in mid, though. They do have the flank watch. Meathead has taken down that flank watch, though. They have to force someone there. EU is there to try to take down one. John QT holding down the back. No defuse going down at the moment. This is still very confusing for M80, but they're chipping down the numbers. That's all they need. find the players from Fusion to finally get the defuse. Fusion made it difficult, but M80 do take it back.
And dumping so much util in that single choke point. A nade comes out, a flash as well between Koala Noob and Nismo, pushing players away here. Fusion, the idea was pretty dang good, I'm not gonna lie, to ult and knowing that the lockdown was gonna come into play. Again, we're seeing that huge dynamic between these two teams when it comes to ultimates, both playing off of one another. And M80, again, off to a flying start here in the second map. Their map pick, both teams having phenomenal records. And recently, M80 putting up quite the performance against the Guard, and Fusion as well, putting up quite the performance during their Challengers run.
I mean, listen to these stats. It's 72% defensive win rate, 69% attacking win rate for Fusion on this map. This entire season has been very successful for them on this map, and it's been predominantly with the same comp. They only recently changed up their composition, and of course they've changed it up again. They did try that scan mentality that we mentioned before, but it ends up looking like they don't need it.
I think they do need it here for sure.
Exactly.
Flaherty is just in kind of barreling into sites, getting split up from the team, and the util from M80. It's one of the highlighting points that we talked about yesterday, how good they were at layering defensive util and slowing down pushes. Well, you saw it here firsthand. The nano storm that gets popped in front of B main, kind of delaying that push and separating players from one another. It's been an issue that Fusion are looking to face.
I was just jamming out, my bad. Fusion. Again, they come out of the timeout into an eco. Not a lot for them to actually be able to do here in this round, but we've seen again plenty of thrifties from this team, especially on the attacking side.
The first time we're seeing an early look from Fusion over towards C. And Koala Noob has gone up towards Mad. He'll have EU to try and assist.
Oh, Koala Noob gets destroyed by Edu, but EU.
What is going on with these thrifties, man?
This is an unbelievable position for EU, but Edu utilizes the TP from Darker to throw him off.
Buddy just had his neck snapped in half. M80
Goodness.
are getting rolled in thrifties, by the way. Again, this time around, 100% of the rounds Fusion will win in Lotus will be on thrifties alone. The first one they won, the only round they have was the second round after losing the pistol.
Miraculous, to say the least, from Fusion, the way that this series has been going down, but again, they need to capitalize going into the next. They're not going to have too many ultimates to actually be able to fight back M80 with. Still, Fusion doing their job right now in terms of just keeping themselves in the game. They have done this plenty of times just to keep the streak going. And now Theory is the one showing off the aim, and eBay Thrifty.
All kills coming from Sheriffs, by the way. Fusion, I don't know what they've been eating, what they've been cooking up in the Fusion camp, but their thrifties have been ridiculous. That's the sixth one they've won in this series. And this is just getting out of hand here because M80, this could be a much cleaner game if they literally just did not lose to these eco rounds. And Fusion, the first time that they press C is on their eco.
They're going to do the same. They're going to push out 3 over towards that area. This time, nobody from M80 putting out a look over towards C. We do see the same aggressive look from a few rounds ago from M80. They lock down part of A.
And they are looking to punish Theory here. I was expecting the ultimate to come out after the paranoia, and it does. So they get full control, but this is a pretty dangerous angle to fight in.
And there's nobody in B.
Found pretty good space here towards B, but they're not committing. They've even opened the door to try and sell a fake for a B hit.
And this actually backs out the player from M80 over on C. Aftershock into ramp. This is actually a big opportunity for Xander. Xander gets himself into position, but Fusion, they're just throwing off M80 right now.
With a minute left, they've got so much time for this mid-round calling. And this is where Fusion will very quickly put players in positions to take map control. You can see it here on C, you see it here on B. This is an M80 sent reeling back in this round.
Sent scrambling. Really, they have no idea where to position themselves. They have packed themselves up, though. 3 players over towards the C link, trying to make their way back in. Xander.
Immediate lurk.
He's feeling the pressure. Has no idea about Meathead, and Meathead takes him down. Good start for Fusion. In theory, he's about to do the exact same. These lurks, oh my goodness, almost incredibly dangerous, but Nismo calls him out completely. Diffuse could go in, but the smoke dissipates. Darker's able to get the kill, but EU somehow gets another one back. But the double hold for mid. How does EU get two there? Nismo now in a 1v1. TP going in. Hold it, Nismo. Hold it for half. Darker doesn't swing. Go for the jump peek instead. And Nismo, cold-hearted, picks up the round for M80. Fusion had a chance though.
What a round between these two teams. I think Fusion just getting so unlucky towards the end because that was such a well-played round. Two beautiful lurks coming in. Theory getting caught off though as he tries to push in towards B Heaven. But this was an unbelievable round. An unbelievable calling here in the mid-round for Fusion. And yeah, M80 were very lucky here in this post win that Util kind of just ran out here from Fusion. And Darker, I think, should have committed to this swing here. But Fusion doing everything right, and this is the face of relief. Yeah, see, Nismo's so confused. He's like, what was the round? What was the calling?
Darker had that for a quick second there, but we go quickly into the next round. It's Verdi picking up Koala Noob. And a bit of an uncharacteristic move, to say the very least. That's a very early kill for Fusion, and Fusion not exactly taking up too much map control. It is A, however, slowly being taken back. It's only one player here.
And that wall going up, they have no idea that players are coming back towards A. Xander was just peeking. They had to push B main, see if they can get that control back. Edu just got his ult online here. So they'll take full A site control, and this will be a retake here from M80. They have the Nightfall to work with, but look at this already. Verdi's trying to put pressure again. That ult in the back of their minds.
Again, it's just the Nightfall. One piece of util in terms of the nade. The nade has been utilized, and it's utilized to full success. There goes Nismo with the kill, but Verdi does get the trade back. This is even though, and EU's actually taking this to an advantage. But Darker with a spray transfer. Sharp from Darker, and now it's EU. 1v2. Can't strike down the first. Finally gets it on the second burst. But Verdi is there to return the favor. But look at the HP on Verdi. If that first burst goes right, potentially that's a W.
And that'll actually be the first round that Fusion will pick up. That's a full rifle round. They found success, but again, both teams clashing with ultimates. That's a really nice setup from EU. Despite not winning the round, he pops the Nightfall and then instantly knows where the plant's going to be, so he throws down a Prowler to combo with that nade that will stun the planter, which being Edu.
Yep.
And he just has nowhere to run because of the nade and the Prowler, of course. M80 still with enough credits to buy. Fusion, again, clutching on that last round because of a really nice individual play from Darker, someone the desk highlighted early on.
John QT actually does have some support here. It's Xander once again over towards this A side, but again, it's John QT currently holding this position, not moving. Was trying to hold on for a bit of a lurk. Instead, the lockdown. This is very safe from Fusion, but this is calling in the rotation from M80 very early.
Qualanoob is staying on C, expecting maybe a fake. He can TP here for this from the shadows. But look at everyone here from M80. They're on the doorstep already for this retake. Spike will go down nonetheless, though.
Oh, the nade does come in theory. Still goes down to it. A worthy sacrifice. As Fusion now take up their next few positions. Xander can swing in and sweep this up, but no, he can't. Nismo had the pressure, but Edu stays alive. Big flash in. EU takes down the one. But Koala couldn't do anything other than just the paranoia and the one kill. He gets traded out immediately. John QT once again, yet another clutch. We haven't seen too many clutches from M80. But this is yet another big chance. John QT gets the first burst, gets a little bit of damage, but can't get the kill. Finally, John QT picks up a huge round for M80 that they swing back on Fusion right when Fusion were getting hot.
I don't know. Between the two players that the desk talked about, Darker and Meated, both players have an insanely high clutch rate, and they're both put in a 2 versus 1 where you expect they should be guaranteed to win. With the angle John QT, he literally catches them both through the wall, and neither player having the quick enough recognition to take the swing and fight together. And these rounds should be clean from Fusion. But M80 are always just 1 or 2 footsteps away from the retake. And look at this swing here. John QT literally catching them both through the wall. Neither player overcommitting to the swing, and that's what costs them. Someone needs to swing, and someone needs to swing off of it. But both players, neither playing for really any map control. And Fusion are struggling. They're getting these thrifty rounds over and over, but they're not finding any success in their rifle rounds.
So close. Any success? I mean, they were so desperately close to actually winning that out, but here comes
Nismo's
Nismo.
never played here. Yeah, they're not going to check this. Already punished, who's been consistently lurking up towards B. They put Nismo there to punish.
This is what I was saying earlier in terms of the cheeky angles. You saw John QT trying to set up for one in the last round. This round, of course, it was Nismo. But again, with the lack of information that Fusion can actually take away from these defenders, M80, it can rely a little bit on some of these one and dones. Same thing that we saw a little bit earlier from EU, but he got shut down by a Theory. Solo lurking up, almost having a bit of an opportunity with the Sheriffs, but finally, even though M80 are giving up a few 1v1s here, they're finally winning them against the Sheriffs.
Yeah, they're not losing this time around, thankfully. This would be like the sixth eco round. And the 3 rounds, by the way, 2 of them have been won through ecos. It's ridiculous how good Fusion are in these thrifties, and it's still looking pretty good here.
Oh, no.
And look at that. Quality's committed a TP as well, just to ensure. They've even committed a lockdown from John QT.
They're still going to take full B, though. Be easy here for Fusion. Oh, no, never mind. Showstopper. Already getting pulled out, and it's point blank from Nismo. And he continues the party with a second kill right onto Meat's head.
I would have been really mad if they won that eco again.
It was close.
Yeah,
for no
like
reason.
literally a 2 versus 1. It's the ult that ends up saving them. So in an eco round, you bait out 3 ults essentially. The From the Shadows, I guess, is not that big of a deal, but you bait out the lockdown and you bait out the showstopper. And so that's not what M80 wanted. They won't have those ults moving into this final round. But a massive win, I think, for Fusion and their eco. How deadly they are, you kind of have to respect it, and I don't blame M80 for using these ults whatsoever.
They're getting in on the fun.
They certainly are.
Picking up some Portuguese for sure. One more round to go. They're in the half. Tactibear may be chilling, but we are not. Fusion. This is a big gun round for them to actually be able to take back. B is completely empty at the moment.
I don't think this would be a commitment from Fusion. I think there's an aim just to get the ult for Adu. Never mind, it is a commitment here. Already again being that jumper. Look how alone he is right now.
They are going to be able to cleanly get this potentially, but no. They just come off of it, even though nobody actually swung into this. They were going for a fake, redirecting themselves back over towards A. John QT has all of this utility, and it's layered once again. There's a Nano Swarm off to his left, yet another alarm bot right in the same position. Nismo pops in, picking up Verdi, just chipping down the numbers here, M80.
And you're just not ready for that Fusion. The triple push over towards C Mount.
Whoa, mid.
Just funneling in towards one another. Meathead might have a lurk kill, and he does. Puts him decently close to an ult here, and you're looking for Edu to get onto his. That's a big kill from EU back. There will be the Rolling Thunder here. It's up to Meathead here to at least punish EU. And Edu understands that he needs to stay alive. They've gotten full B main control. He can play with the ults.
This is so weird here for M80. They had 2 players actually being able to flank back in, but because of the util back over in mid, they've opted not to even trigger it. They want to surprise Fusion here. They're putting 3 on this side of the map. Meathead spots one. Unable to get the other. Again, both players from M80 coming in towards the mid side of this map. They were coming in towards Switch, but they actually split up with one going in mid instead. Finally going for the defuse. They're just taking it, looking to see if anyone actually swinging out. Meathead down extremely low. And Edu, he was the X factor for the round, as he was the one with the full HP. But instead, it's M80 with yet another dominant half.
9-3 here on Lotus. A map that neither team has dropped in the past month and a half. Fusion will have some work to do on their defensive side. We won't see them have that scan. Again, no Sky this time around is definitely going to hurt them if they want to get aggressive on the defensive side. But M80 playing this half almost perfectly, winning a majority of these rifle rounds once again. Fusion, 2 of the rounds they've won were on thrifties. It's crazy to think that this team has won over half of their rounds in this series off of thrifty rounds.
I mean, that fit right in with the narrative before the game, but I mean, Fusion. And we were looking for the effects from players like Meathead, from players like Darker, in the middle of some of these gun rounds, but we've actually seen more from players like Theory, from players like Edu, if anything. Fusion need a reawakening here on the defensive side. Defensive side where, again, it's a bit of a different dynamic once again. M80 do have a bit of that scan, of course. It's EU on the fade. They have spread out a little bit early on. in this pistol. It is double over towards A main with Fusion. Yes, taking some map control. They have that cheeky spot back over towards B mid.
Really not much, though. The thing is for Fusion, you're playing completely oblivious to what M80 are doing. And M80 will just quiet walk up. You've lost full control of C. You can't overcommit to this A rotate. And the only issue here is Darker's not in a good spot. He's not playing towards like back sight. He's just stuck over towards tree. He's a pretty isolated player here. You have a fall line though from Edu online in a second that could help.
Darker could absolutely go off in this position. Did to an extent. 2 kills coming out very quickly. And Fusion, they're also very quick themselves. Jumping on in is Meathead. 2 more players already in the lower level. And M80 make it look easy. Theory, now the last one remaining. It was a 1v3. He's already cut it down to a 1v2. It's EU alongside Xander. EU has a PC util. Xander, probably with the most important PC util, has the snake bite ready to go. Once they get this contact, should be around, but EU not compensating for the redirect. For Theory, this is perfect. Double snake bite coming out, one to cover up the angle, and another one to cover up the spike. But only a single bullet to the body was needed for Xander. Double digits for M80.
And Fusion getting forced into another clutch. When they run Viper on any map, it's a much more passive defense. Like on Fracture, they didn't run it, and they were getting a lot more aggressive on their defense and offensive side. But here, because they don't have, first of all, that scan agent, you're seeing a lot of early dry peaks, and that's why this play from Darker is a miracle, because he had no information. He just got very lucky that those 2 players lined up. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some nice shots, but those shouldn't normally be needed if you have the early information. And so we're going to see Fusion do a lot of these dry peaks, like we're seeing here towards C Mound. That early control towards B is happening here again. Fusion are going to have to commit players into fights when they really don't want to, and M80 will certainly be looking to exploit that. You can see as well, they've elected to go for really long-range guns to see if they can exploit those early peaks.
But it's probably the best opportunity that they could possibly have in a round like this with only the pistols pressuring out M80. Forcing them to react, and boy, has Nemo reacted.
He just did another
in a beautiful win. In a beautiful way. There goes another no-scope, like you said. And oh, he could have gotten another one. He wasn't reloading. Theory and Edu. Last 2 remaining. Again, both of them were primed to actually push into C, so they are technically in pretty decent positions. But M80, they're respecting Fusion on only pistols.
Yeah.
They're going to the complete other side of the map where they know they are.
Certainly, normally I would say like this is just a typical way to play the anti-eco, but no, like I think specifically for this team, you just have to sit back and pray that you don't get overwhelmed by sheriffs. But Fusion again going for a lot of early dry peaks. This was the round that they needed to win, I think, to stay in this series. I think this should be the closure here from M80 in a second. They've got as well really big guns to play with in the next round. Like typically, we see teams nowadays buying the early rifles. And they have done that here, so they have a pretty strong bonus moving forward, and it'll be up to Fusion, who I just unfortunately think that this composition is a lot, not necessarily, it's not bad, but it's just a little bit worse than what they had going for them. The comp that brought them a lot of success was having that sky. But now that they don't, like I was been saying, we're going to see a lot more riskier peaks from Fusion, a lot more dry peaks in M80. We've seen them capitalize on that already. Like, think back to the Meathead nanoswarms thrown on the offensive side when they were playing the attack, just straight towards A main, or over towards like that A stairs area, and he walks out to try and get a dry peak and ends up getting shut down. So just keep a lookout for that, and how aggressive Meathead, or apologies, Fusion would just have to be with their dry peaks.
I want to see how some of this map control battle actually evolves, because we haven't seen much from Fusion whatsoever over towards A main. If anything, it's only been over towards B mid.
And you can see how M80 are playing this. Like, they know that there's just not info gathering agents, that they can drop this kind of util and really take their time with it. Like, they're not going to reveal too much whatsoever. And consistently, you see here, Theory has to go for these dry peaks.
Utilizing their controllers to cover their tracks. And they put themselves in a beautiful position to get that kill onto Theory.
Looking for any extra KJ util. That'll be the opening here. Nismo is just going to try and funnel this player. That's a great seize as well to just punish Meathead. Not a chance here for Fusion. Left in a 5v3.
Darker. Oh, looking for a highlight play.
Darker, what?
And he started it off in stellar fashion. He's still alive. Going in for the paranoia. He may have just isolated one. Darker, what a kill onto Koala Noob. It's all Darker. 1v3 now. John QT yet another clutch opportunity. Has double nanoswarms to potentially cover up the spike. But again, he needs to find the angle. Nobody going in the middle of sight. John QT, again, has the angle split, but these players from Fusion, they're just waiting. And John QT doesn't compensate for a man in the back of sight. A big opportunity there for M80. They were looking pretty clean at the beginning.
Darker's been having some unbelievable rounds, like so many multi-kills to give Fusion a chance in these rounds. But that one was ridiculous. Like, this swing in general was really, really quick, and he's just so quick to capitalize. And look how aware he is, by the way, spamming the box as QualiNoob tries to approach. And this keeps them alive in this series entirely, because you lose that round, you have no money to make another full buy happen. And so Darker coming up massive for his team once again, but you saw early those dry peaks. QualiNoob, apologies, Nismo punishing the spot towards stairs.
M80 just pulling the same approach that we saw from that last round. This time, though, Fusion not able to get any of that early information. An alarm bot does help them out finally. M80 were very quietly scaling their way up into this site. They have the util to be able to break their way out. QualiNoob forced his Fusion potentially to react a little bit just with a single smoke, but they are breaking out back over towards that B site.
I like that. They're putting pressure towards B to keep players on Fusion locked in towards B. You can even see it even pulled Theory in a rotate.
It's going to be Meathead once again, though. Meathead gets the first angle and can get a whole lot more. Meathead with a double keeps Fusion in the lead in the round. Theory in the 1v1 does actually take out QualiNoob. John QT with a good trade. This is a man advantage. Now for Fusion, they've cut down the numbers. And Verdi nails in a nade alongside the Paranoia. Great combo coming in from Fusion. They look clean, a 5th round coming back.
Clean from Fusion, but also it felt a little bit off from M80. Like, Nismo just walking into sight with no support behind him, not even a Prowler to set him up, and with no flashes on this comp. Nismo needs to blast back into situations like that, but he used his blastbacks early to break the KJ util and to set him up in ruins in the opening seconds of this round. And so that entry is very easy to deal with, especially with a Poison Orb and the KJ util to help support. For a player like Theory, he's definitely going to be very keen to punish plays like that here, as M80 will be reset for the first time in a while. This is the 2nd round in a row Fusion have won, and the 3rd that they'll pick up with rifles.
Birdie lines up the one. The rest of Fusion just looking to make this clean against the Stingers. Their economy isn't exactly completely out of the road just yet. It's Fusion. Do technically take back the B site, but M80, they're looking to find a clean gap somewhere. C site currently only a single player there, just with a single piece of utility right in front of him. And the TP, he sticks it. He's going for a 1v1. Verdi might find QualiNoob instead, but QualiNoob actually ends up getting into the even 1v1, still misses out on it. VTED, the only player here. The Stingers from the long range, not able to do much. And the lockdown being utilized in this type of round. It's not exactly bad. M80 have a pretty big lead at the moment, but it is a waste.
Not a waste, because the idea was that you hopefully force players in towards QualiNoob who committed to the TP, and I think M80 just hoped that he hadn't been fully cleared and that no one was coming on the flank here. QualiNoob, I think, just getting unlucky with the timing, especially getting caught with his smoke out as soon as Verdi comes to fight him. But M80 electing to call the attack pause, maybe feeling pressure from this defense. Not necessarily the pressure, but the fact that Fusion are playing very well to the mistakes that M80 are playing on. I think M80 certainly need to sharpen up. It was one of the win conditions that analysts were talking about. If Fusion can make the mistakes that M80 are making into very punishable moments, which they have been multiple times, like Darker getting great timings, Theory punishing the swing through that Poison Orb with no lead up from Nismo's entry, they'll have more costly rounds coming forward. And I think Happy will give some pretty big words on the fundamentals that are happening here and how they need to play around this composition. They know that there are going to be a lot of dry peaks from Fusion. They should be, once again, looking to punish those.
I mean, half of the effect that you have without a scan is just the fact, of course, you're utilizing a whole lot more controller utility, but that also leaves you pretty affected whenever you actually end up making your take. I mean, I would like to think that QualiNoob could have helped out with the take back over towards Tree when Nismo dry peaked.
Some pretty big ultimates here for Fusion. will start to come online. I was looking at John QT to hold his lockdown, but he doesn't have that this time around. So Fusion, a pretty big swing round to keep them in this one. They will have the ults to assist them, and we're actually seeing some aggression. This is a different wall. They're throwing it very deep towards A.
M80 do have that pressure. Back over towards C at the same time. Fusion.
And it needs to be a fast rotate here. Meated's going to get the ult very quickly for the C retake. Verdi can't overextend here. He just needs to delay. There's no support from any players.
There goes the satchel out already. Nismo in a good position. Nobody from Fusion is here.
Too much from Nismo.
A lot. Verdi taking one away, and this is giving them an opportunity here with the showstopper trying to get back into sight, and they've just dropped the spike right in the middle of sight. Instead, they were looking to actually drop it towards someone who's already on platform, but instead, Fusion, lockdown coming in. They need to grab the spike and leave. Xander throws it away, passes it over to his teammates, but they still might have it. Lockdown still getting stuck. Koala Noob has to run away.
And they don't have the spike here. Theory now picking up the operator. Could pop the ult, but he still just fights.
But there goes Koala Noob finally picking up the spike. But what a mission it was just to pick up this one spike. 2 players, 3 players going down for it.
This isn't even a fake here. They still have a Viper's Pit here to make a retake work. But 2 smokes are darker. I don't think it'll get used here. But Fusion have got players coming from all 3 angles. The only one missing is going to be that flank. And these 2 players, M80, have to play together. Quality looking for any kind of advantage he can muster towards Heaven.
Theory, the Viper's
That's a great angle.
Oh, what? A kill from EU. Shutting down the Viper's Pit that could have red carpeted them back into sight. Now instead, Meathead, Darker, barely anything to utilize. They do have the double smokes. Meathead also has a turret that just reloaded, but a kill goes back, trade goes in, and it's now a 1v1. Meathead going in for the fake, trying to bait in EU. EU, heart of steel, not peeking whatsoever. Meathead is the one scrambling. Meathead is the one with paranoia, but this one's extremely close for Meathead.
I don't think he has it.
Barely. But it is M80 to put themselves 1 away from a BO3W.
And if he had stuck it to half on the first one, you should expect no swing there. But pressure. Meat had got, I think, in a little bit of his own head there, thinking that there would have been an early swing there. Both sides, I think, playing the pressure in that 1v1 clutch. But this is a huge shot for me.
Massive.
One that set them up for this round and win entirely. Because you don't have that confidence. Someone has to stick, one has to hold. And it comes down to just 1v1s. That yes, Meathead won, but he didn't win with the proper timing here. And M80, that was a very big round to win. The swing for Fusion was there. They had all the ultimates.
Now M80, alongside Fusion, we have the Venn diagram in terms of the Viper's Pit.
And there's a very aggressive KJ turret here. I would rather see Theory use his Viper's Pit over towards A, but he's elected to stick around here. I think the turret will get contact, and he probably pops his ultimate if that were the case. But M80 have instead leaned over towards C, where they themselves have got Xander with his Viper's Pit.
It'll be tough for them to lead in basically anywhere.
And I think M80 are hoping for a reaction from Fusion to pop that Viper's Pit, and that's where they'll kind of make their final approach. As you can see, yeah, committing util here towards A, seeing if that will cause a reaction with that ultimate. They don't know it, but there have been rotates now from Fusion over towards A. And I think he might be considering the ult pop.
Oh, certainly John QT getting extremely pressured. And indeed, he goes down. There goes the Nightfall. It could just be or the fake, but absolutely it isn't. They're actually committing fully to this and trying to clear out the backside just with 2 players, and they get absolutely punished for it. M80, they just tried to throw everything at the wall there, essentially.
Yeah,
at Fusion, just with only 2 players.
This is just Xander and Quandube looking to save. They don't have the cash to make it happen whatsoever. Dude would love the kill here, but they aren't going hunting. Playing a very safe game here, Fusion, to find 7. They played an exceptional defensive side so far, but I think a lot of credit comes to this really nice ult cycle that Fusion have been happening. A lot of really nice ult combinations. Again, you see the clash in this round and the last, playing off of each other's ultimates and playing with the thought in mind that these ultimates are game-changing. They are round-winning. But M80 seem, honestly, a little bit flustered in a lot of these rounds. Like, they're playing to Fusion style instead and basing what they do off of the Fusion ults. And I think that's what's hurting them a lot. Like, that round right then and there felt like they were just trying to bail out that Viper's Pit, didn't have a full game plan. EU makes a pretty risky entry into A site by himself. And then even in the round prior, like, very flustered. Nismo making a risky solo entry.
M80 putting on the pressure towards C at the moment, but it's Fusion
Just
all the way down A main. There goes a huge ultimate though. Nismo can break apart this C side. There's only one player here. Nade in and a paranoia to send whoever could be in the backside scrambling.
And you're giving space here for Xander to set up his ultimate. This is smart here from Fusion to try to just win these ones, but they don't get it.
And a great satchel right after too. Nismo covering up the angle.
Ult.
There goes Qualinoob with a big kill. Xander finally utilizing that ultimate. Adu, however, looking to cut it down. That aftershock is beautiful. It cuts down 2 players there, but not able to get a kill out of it. Darker Meathead in an impossible scenario. It's gonna be Meathead though, already starting off. That's a great wallbang right onto John QT. Darker. He's gonna be breaking in the same angle. That turret is way too short. It does not catch whatever angle EU could be at. There goes at least the turret getting taken down. There goes the wide swing. Fusion trying what they may, but it's just not possible. M80 have finally secured their W in the international stage.
And M80, this was their last game during the group stage. They've at least gone for now 1-1. The land jitter still, I think, a little bit evident, especially on that attacking side of Lotus. A lot of mistakes being made, but that strong defensive side, and I think is what ultimately set themselves up for this series win. The Fracture map looked a lot cleaner, but M80 still some things I think to sift over as they head into playoffs with a 1-1 record. So there's an opportunity here for M80 to make some more adjustments and I think kind of refine things and make those necessary changes.
Yeah, still necessarily, I guess you could say, impressive for Fusion. Again, just the fact that they made M80 kind of mold their playstyle a little bit throughout a game. Again, this was a team in Fusion that they were pretty confident about their playstyle. They were pretty confident about them actually facing up against M80. It falls apart here at the very end, but there were a lot of scenarios where, again, we did see that showcase individually from Fusion, showing that at least the land jitters aren't exactly affecting them too much. It's just, again, that gameplay that just didn't stick.
I think Fusion did absolutely surprise a lot of people here watching. I don't think a lot of people, especially I think that analyst desk was kind of leaning very heavily in favor of M80. They put up a pretty good showing. There were a lot of really cool set pieces that I personally was a pretty big fan of, and I think that there's a lot more for Fusion to show moving forward. They still have one matchup. They are unfortunately kind of in the group of death, unfortunately, like against the #1 Brazilian
it's
team.
gonna be so tough.
And the #1 North American team. So they've got some of the work cut out for them, but I am pretty happy with the way Fusion played, and certainly a lot of North American fans, including myself, will be happy with M80. And the analyst desk, I think, are going to be pretty happy. So we're going to throw things to them so they can break this whole series down.
Thank you very much, boys. An earned win from M80 that they really wanted to find. Again, we kind of talked about it. It's nice to see the teams get a little bit of a softer start to the tournament because, again, this is a group stage that is seeding specific. So all 3 teams from each group will make it into playoffs. And one of the problems that the Guard had when they made it to Reykjavik, they went from a team who had limited experience getting thrust directly into bracket play. They only got to play 2 best-of-3s. So now they can kind of get that little bit of a start, a rolling start, we should say, as they move into bracket play. So M80, they go 1-1. That's a decent start, to their group stage. It's a good way to get acclimated to the LAN environment.
It is, and watching M80, I mean, they are looking better, but I don't know about you. I feel like we're just going to see them continue to get more and more comfortable the more that they play here at LAN, right? So that's what I'm expecting from them. This match, though, overall, I mean, it was very dominant from M80 for the most part on Lotus. They were looking very strong. They were doing the pushes that I had mentioned pregame. From C and A, but Fusion looked like they were ready for it, so they didn't really fall into those traps, so that was good on them. But again, Fusion didn't pull through on their attacking side except for the thrifty rounds. They won 2 thrifty rounds again, so it was kind of a repeat of what we saw from Fracture. And there was lots of individual clutches that I saw from Darker. Darker really held them in this game, in my opinion.
Darker and also Me Ted. Again, I think we've seen some great spray transfers coming out from both those players and two players that we highlighted. And I feel this story would have been so different. It was somebody else actually coming in. You know, if it comes down to, you know, Verdi having that support system to be able to frag out a little bit more, I don't think it's necessarily on him as a player. I think, again, it's trying to figure out what is the composition or what is the synergy that you want to build with whatever you're trying to cook forward. And again, I think coming out with a double controller was nice because you're still able to hold those defaults, and as M was talking about those pushes coming out from M80, they still held from spawn, changed their pushes a little bit to site, changing gears from time to time, but then M80 also has a good composition when it comes down to retake sites. We've seen how disruptive it's been too, so I think M80 had definitely had a step ahead overall though in the map.
I mean, you saw it there in the statistics as well, the post-plant scenarios, my goodness, just really leaning for M80. They were easily able to get back in. It seemed like Fusion was just really struggling in the post-plant situations. Nismo here in the second map as well, having a good time. This is kind of what we talked about. We alluded to it a little bit on the desk. People maybe who watched Challengers this year up until the playoffs probably didn't know that Nismo at one point in time was the secondary duelist for the old Ghost Core roster. He used to play a lot of Raze. We got to see a very large sample size from him, M, going back to last year. And it's cool seeing him get to play back in a comfortable role that we've seen him do in the past.
Yeah, he does such a good job on it, and I'm really happy to see him play. I love watching them play on Lotus in particular because they do a little bit of a role swap. Koala goes on Omen, Nismo goes on the Raze, and it works out really well for them. And honestly, whenever they do these pushing plays, they can heavily rely on John Cutie to hold down the other side with all of that Killjoy utility. And overall, they just played really good today, and I think they're going to keep getting better and better, like I said.
And again, it is a nice thing to see them come in and just find the win they really wanted. Obviously, they wanted to find that win yesterday, but at least they've acclimated to a LAN environment. But that's not it for us today. We do have another map coming up in just a minute in our second series of the day as our other North American team makes their LAN debut here in Brazil. It's the Guard facing off against the other Brazilian roster in 0-0 Nation, who found a win yesterday. We'll be back in just a bit.
Yo, check it out. Want to know if the price of those Wave Runners is too good to be true? Or if I Wear My Kicks 49 is truly selling dead stocks? Or if that Jordan 1 Royal Box is original? eBay checks. See that little blue check mark? Behind it is a team of independent authenticators who check. And we mean everything. Every tongue, check. Every toe box, check. Every corner of every box, check, 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 check. Every logo, every label, every lace loop. Yeah, it's checked. The luster of the leather, the topography on the tags, to the straightness of the stitching on the sole. Everything you can see, and even some things you can't.
Really?
Then they tag them, log them in the system, box them up, and ship them out, with no cost for the buyer or seller. eBay checks, so the moment you open that box is as real gets.